Today, I want to talk about the harsh reality of retirement that catches almost everybody off guard. And it has absolutely nothing to do with your bank account, your 401k, or your pension. In fact, the day you walk off the job for the very last time, your circle of so called friends almost completely vanishes. When I made up the decision to retire after spending over 32 years putting in long, grueling hours, working night shifts, and grinding through decades of work stress, I genuinely thought I had built a big personal network. I knew bunches of people. We talk, we text, we swap stories, we talk sports, and we laugh through the tough shifts. When you spend over 3 decades in a workplace, it's easy to assume those people are your actual lifelong friends. You eat meals together, you complain about the same stuff, and you practically spend more waking hours with them than you do your own family. So, in your mind, you build this idea that these relationships are forged in steel. You think, man, we've been through the trenches together, but the reality is a whole lot different once that final time card is punched. But let me tell you, the moment I walked through that doorway for the last time, the phone stopped ringing. All those years of sacrifice, the early mornings and late nights, and personal compromises, and almost nobody reached out. It was a fast, cold lesson. I didn't actually have hundreds of friends. I just had coworkers. Right after I stepped away, maybe one or two people text me after 2 or 3 months. But let's be real. You might have one or two that check on you afterwards, but they drifted away and they drifted off too. And that's just how the working world operates. People bond over the daily grind, the workplace drama, and complaining about the supervisors or the shift. Once you aren't standing in that building, sharing that same physical space every day, you're out of sight and out of mind. And here's something else nobody talks about. The workplace rumor mill keeps spinning without you. When you're gone, they move right along to the next topic, the next project, or the next person who just got handed their notice. You realize pretty quick that the company culture is built around the work, not around you. The second you stepped out of that ecosystem, the machine just keeps on turning, and those daily conversations you used to have just evaporate into thin air. It's not malicious, but it's real. For a lot of us who poured decades of our sweat into a career, you realize that all that noise and stimulation you had around you for 30 years wasn't deep human connection. It was just proximity. You were just all in the same place at the same time. When you sit down and look at how life unfolds, it really breaks down into three major chapters. The first chapter, school and growing up. Think back how many people you still talk to from fifth grade, middle school or high school. Barely any, right? That stage closed out. The second chapter, building your career, earning a living, raising your family, and grinding away for decades. Now the third chapter is retirement, where you step away from the daily rat race, quiet down the noise, and have to completely reinvent yourself. Now that third chapter is where so many retirees hit a brick wall. They don't know what to do with their days. The kids are grown and out doing their own thing. Your spouse might be still working, and suddenly you're staring at an empty schedule, and you ask yourself, who am I if I'm not punching in the clock every day? And what defines me now that this uniform is off? It takes time to adjust. You trip up, you stumble, and you wonder how to fill the space when all those familiar faces disappear overnight. Here's the good news. Losing that huge crowd of workplace acquaintances is actually a blessing in disguise. Humans need community, but we don't need overstimulation. When you're working, your calendar is dictated by everyone else. In retirement, you get to pick and choose your moments. If I don't want a rigid schedule or a massive, exhausting social network anymore, if I have to set alarms and mark down rigid social appointments to meet 5 different people every week, it starts feeling like a 9 to 5 job all over again. Instead, I've learned to appreciate the smaller, simpler interactions that actually bring peace. Walking into my local coffee shop where the cashier knows my order before I even reach the counter, getting out in the fresh air for a 3 mile walk to get my heart pumping and keep my body active, meeting up once every few months with a close buddy who shares the real passion, the same passion, like sports or working on cars or spending quality time with my kids. As they become young adult men and women, teaching them from my experiences as they prepare for their futures. You see, when you're on the job, you're forced to manage personalities you didn't even pick. You have to navigate personalities, workplace politics, and people who might not even like you. But in chapter 3, you hold the pen. You get to decide who earns a spot in your inner circle. I'd rather have 2 solid, genuine connections than 100 superficial ones where people are just waiting for their turn to talk. Peace of mind means taking control of who gets the access to your time. That's where real fulfillment comes from. Not from having a contact list full of 100 fake work friends, but from having mental peace, a healthy routine, and a few good people in your corner. Retirement is your ultimate chance to step away from walking on eggshells. Stop trying to please a company and just be 100% authentic. I'm much more candid now. I say what I mean. I guard my peace. I don't waste energy trying to maintain relationships that were only held together by a paycheck. So if you recently retired, or if you're getting ready to take that step and you feel like everyone from your past work life forgot about you, don't take it personally. It happens to almost every single one of us. Use that quiet time to focus on your health, pick up new hobbies, stay active, and appreciate the freedom you spent over 30 years earning. I'd love to hear your story down in the comments. Did your work friends stay in touch after you retired, or did they vanish? Did they vanish on you too? How did you handle that adjustment? Let's talk about it below in the comments. If you found some value in this talk, in this video, hit that like button. Now, I'm Retired Life with Reese Will, and share this video to someone who might be preparing for retirement. I appreciate every single one of you hanging out with me today on this channel. Stay safe, stay blessed, and keep pressing forward. And remember, don't chase peace, live it.